here's, before I get up there, here's the new little connection piece for the new smoke alarm, okay? And generally on the red, there's a little cap on there, at least most of the ones I've seen. And you don't have to take that cap off. If you go up there, sometimes you might get a smoke alarm that is wired differently and maybe only the black and red wire, maybe you only get a black and red wire up there, no black and white wire, no red wire, let's say. Okay, so then when you have your connection like this, you would not connect the red wire to anything. Then you could just leave that cap on there. That kind of protects it, because once you pull that off, you know, it's already been set up like the black and white wire, okay? In this case, we know we're going to use it, right? I'm going to pull that off and see how it's already twisted nice and tight. It's already been stripped back and everything, okay? So now I can go ahead and install that. That's my next step before I do anything, right? Okay, if you have any questions, you can read your directions. Okay, so time to put my little connector on here. Very simple. I'm going to go black to black, white to white, red to red. Okay. Let me do it this way. Maybe you can see that. I want to get that tip right up there. I shouldn't have to do anything special like stripping the wire back or anything. You just want to get these on snug. What I've learned is if you tighten this up too tight, you could actually snap off one of the wires. I've done that before. If you do that, then you have to go down and get your wire strippers and re-strip the wire. It's not, you know, you might have to get a different wire nut at that point. And see, speaking of wire nuts, I'm using the existing wire nuts, and because they all looked pretty good. Okay, if you wanted, you could, some people frown upon that, thinking that it's best to use brand new wire nuts, but these were holding fine. And I just kind of pull on that a little bit, make sure this is snug, because as it goes on, you might think it's tight, and then you twist a little bit more and think, oh wait, no, it's not tight yet. You want to kind of pull on these, make sure everything's okay. Now I'm going to push these back up into the box, kind of how they came before, and kind of wrap it over, push one up at a time, get this kind of finagled so you kind of have these other wires kind of loose and not overlapped, let's say. Okay, this box is pretty easy. Try to keep your fingers off your ceiling. If you got dirty finger tips or something, you might get them on your ceiling. And after, oh yeah, I see Joe's been up here because there's black marks all around here. If you got flat paint, then it's kind of tricky to get those marks off. Okay, so I've got this coming out. Just make sure it's kind of flexible, because eventually this is going to kind of push up a little bit, you know, in there. So I want to make sure there's a little bit of movement, and it's kind of in the middle of the box, okay? I know you can do that. Save yourself some money. You don't have to hire an electrician to do this for you. Save it. If an electrician came out and did this, how much would he charge you? Depending on how many smoke alarms you had and what he had to do to go out to the store and get it and come out here, he could charge you just for labor for 4 or 5 of them, maybe $150 or so. You know, I'm guessing maybe $100 to $150 for his labor. And then he might charge you a 10% overhead and profit on the material as well as his labor. I mean, it could be a little bit costly to do this. And hey, save that money, keep it in your pocket, and do it yourself. Are you learning anything yet? I hope you are. Okay, each new smoke alarm is going to have its own separate backing piece. Don't think that it looks fairly similar to the old one. You're just going to leave the old one up there. Okay, and here's the thing here. You see all these different holes here. That's because there's 3 different sizes of boxes that could be up in the ceiling. So they've done you a favor. You could use You could use this set here, or here you put the screw in through the middle and you'll twist it one way or another, and that will make the box a little bit thinner, narrower, or deeper, you know. So that's the next step. You don't want to get ahead of yourself and think, oh, I'm going to put this up first, because if you put this up first and then do the wire nuts, you know, to the wires, then it's kind of tricky to push everything up through the hole. Okay, so I'm going to slide this through there, and I don't know which way it's going to go yet. I can slide it one way and see that fits fine. Had I slid it the other way, it goes on one of the screws and slides. See? But on this one, it's not sliding because it's not the right size box. So don't think, oh, okay, I don't know any better. I'll just tighten it up right there. That's good enough. No, you want to put it in there and then try it the other way, and sure enough, it's gonna fit. I can just set it there. This whole job takes one Phillips screwdriver if you do everything right. Okay, so now I'm just gonna make that snug. Don't over tighten it, but you want it tight enough so that when you twist the new smoke alarm on there, it goes on there nice, and next time you go to take it off, you don't want to unscrew and take the whole thing off. You want to get just the top part off without trying to unscrew the rest, you know. And so I'm going to make it snug. I can feel that pushed up a little bit, and that's fine. I just don't want to overdo it. Okay, there. That's your next step. Now, are we ready for the next bit? Here's the top portion of this, and because this is a 10-year lithium battery, obviously there's no pouch on here to take anything off. This is the set button, and I'll talk to you about that before. Okay, are we ready to put this up? No, we aren't. Look at most of your smoke alarms. They're not all created equal, so just take a look at them and see. I see a little sticker right here, date of install. I'm going to put the date, and then just keep flipping it around. See, here's one that says replace by. Okay, these are 10-year. So what you can do is just write the month and the year of the install, and then you can write the month and add 10 years to today's date, calendar date or whatever, and put it right there. That way, you know, you don't want to think, okay, I'll remember that in 10 years from now. Well, maybe you don't have the house in 10 years. Maybe something happens to you. The next person comes along, they look at the smoke alarm, and they don't see any dates, and they're like, okay, well, it looks like a 10-year smoke alarm, but I'm not sure when it's time to replace this because there was no date on here. So just do yourself a favor and write it down. Not all, see, these are just little stickers, so not all of them have this. You know, maybe you have to write the date on the back, you know, on here with a felt tip pen or something so that you can see it later if you don't have a sticky on there, you know, or you could write it with a felt tip pen on the outside. I'd rather not do that because once you put it up there, you might see it worse or it might smudge. Okay, so I'm going to put the dates on here, then I'm ready to install it. Now that goodie up there has 3 little holes on it. You look on the back side of here and there's three prongs there. Not all of them are like that. See? I think you can see that. 3 prongs. I'm just going to get up there and line that up. Okay, however this is, it's that way. I can flip this around that way. I can look at that, line it up and push it in until it clicks. Okay? Now I can kind of fish that up there, and I'm going to have to feel around until this feels like it's in a spot where it's flat all the way around. You want to make sure it's flat all the way around. Don't make the assumption that you got half of it and the other half is not there, and you start twisting this and you get half of it on there or something and you try to force it. Okay, feels like I'm good. Now I'm going to start clicking it, and this should chirp a little bit here. See? That's chirped. So now I'm going to twist it on, and there's little nodules there. It's going to get tighter. Okay, now it's locked into place. It's all ready to go. I'm not going to set the button yet. I'm going to go ahead and install all my other ones first. Then I'm going to go out and turn the electrical breaker back on. Okay, so next time you always look at these right at this point, if you want to see how you're going to remove it, you can look at your directions. On here, there's a little prong on the side. I would have to push down before I untwist it, okay? And that's how you would get to remove that. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because it's all nice and tight. It's all up there nicely tight to the ceiling. It's in the same location as the old one. That's why I want to use the right mounting screws too. Had you have painted this ceiling or something, let's say you use the wrong mounting screw connections, you might be off. I've seen that before, okay? Just be careful and you can do it. All right, now that you got your smoke alarm installed, before you go down to the next one, just take a look at your carpet and pick up any little remnants. See, this all came out of that box just by me pushing it around and refiguring the wire nuts and stuff. It's just some sheetrock mud, you know, dry flakes and stuff. And you can vacuum this when you get done, but pick up the biggest parts so you don't traipse everything around. You can run the vacuum when you get done, let's say. That's a sign of good workmanship, is when you get done, nobody sees that you were ever there. Remember that.
Well, that's all I got for this time. But I'll be back with more videos.